I've been building my own kingdom for everyone to see. It exists to keep me safe from harm, and it's intact to glorify me. Nobody helped me build this up. It was me and me alone. I've appointed myself as the king, and I've given myself the throne. But it turns out I'm no ruler, and I have no control. So I have decided to destroy it all. I'm tearing down the walls, kicking down the doors. Everything inside this kingdom is yours. 'Cause what I've made is worthless, and it cannot stand. Come and breathe some life into my empty, cold, dead ends. Down with the fickle king, away with this fantasy. You are the one I need. Death to the kingdom of me. Death to the kingdom of me. I should probably be frightened. This empire's all I know, but it always does more damage than good. I'm afraid it's gotta go. I know that I can't be trusted, 'cause I'm just a man. And if you hadn't given your life for me, a loser would be all that I am. You know they say just follow your heart. I'm afraid that's a load of trash. Your heart will take you down to deep, dark places where you feel like you'll never come back. So I'm coming out of the dark. This facade is going to end. And if I ever build this kingdom back up, I'll have no... Feel free to be whoever you want to be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing, just feel... Okay, cut the music. Let's just turn that music off. Welcome to the Two Tone Talk podcast, everybody. Welcome to the Two Tone Talk podcast, where we gather most weeks just to try to make sense. Let me move this mic a little closer. Where we gather every week just to try to make a little bit of sense of what the Titans did and didn't do the day before. This is episode 39. Yesterday, the Tennessee Titans played the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, who, yes, have a very good defense. A very good defense. We all knew that. The Browns, who have a quarterback in Deshaun Watson that has yet to look like he was worth the money until yesterday. The Browns,
who lost their best offensive weapon in Nick Chubb against the Steelers just a week ago. A terrible injury, by the way. Not at all going to make light of the injury. It was a devastating injury, and thank God it was only a torn MCL. But he was their best offensive weapon, and now he's out. Weapons like Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore, who are good weapons, but they ain't looked as good with Cleveland as they did yesterday, especially Cooper. And the Titans coming off of a huge win in overtime at home against the Chargers last week. Everybody thought, we're going to turn it around. After that terrible opening week against the Saints, we've got it on track now, and the Titans are going to get this thing cooking. 27-3, the final yesterday. For the second time this year, only been 3 games. But for the second time, the Tennessee Titans managed not to score even one touchdown. They, almost unbelievably, in an NFL that is literally designed for offenses to get yards and points, the Titans put up a whopping 94 yards of total offense. Let me pull up the stats right here, right now on the By God Pod. Let me go. Where's this stupid game at from yesterday? They're already trying to get me on to week 4. I don't even want to think about week 4, because you know what's coming week 4. Let's see here. Titans, Browns. Everything's operating slow on the phone. While I wait for that to pull up, the Titans put up 94 yards of total offense. Ryan Tannehill, after 2 weeks ago, he put up that terrible performance, and everybody was like, man, that's strike 1. Well, yesterday he was 13 of 25 for 104 yards. Strike 2. Derrick Henry, 11 carries. Derrick Henry carried the ball 11 times for 20 yards. It's got to be the worst game he's had in 5 years. Tyjae Spears, our new offensive weapon, 4 carries for 6 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, 3 receptions for 48 yards. Chris Moore, 2 receptions for 41 yards. So, of Ryan Tannehill's 104 yards, half of them were to Hopkins. Chig Okonkwo, we were all excited for him to make that big leap in year 2. 3 receptions for 7 yards. Treylon Burks, another guy, we were so excited for him to make that jump. 1 reception, 5 yards. Tyjae Spears, how does this happen? 4 receptions for 3 yards. My guy had more receptions than yards. So, I don't even know where to start, man. I don't even know where to start. Somebody's already asked in the YouTube chat, do you think Vrabel's under pressure? Considering in the last 11 games we have 1 win. Will he be safe for next season, considering we're probably going to be in a rebuild? I don't know. I have always liked Vrabel. I've always liked him as a coach. He got out-coached yesterday. He got made a fool of yesterday. And I'm fully aware. I will give the Browns defense their flowers. They have a great defense, okay? Let's start with the offensive line, just because you got to start somewhere. Let's start with the offensive line. It's time to get Dillard out of there. It's time to get Dillard out of there. I understand that you can't run max protect on every play, right? You can't because somebody's got to run routes, and we just don't have the type of elite pass catchers that can get enough separation for a 3-man route to produce any success for this team. So I understand you can't just run max protect and give this poor guy help every single play. I understand that. But of all times to decide to not give him help on the last play of the first half, when you're at like the 10-yard line and you're down by 10 and you have no timeouts and you at least have to get a field goal right there to make it a one-possession game, to get some form of momentum going into the half, because you're getting the ball first in the second half. Not that you would have done anything with it anyway, but to at least give the illusion that you were still in this game. And the one thing you can't do is take a sack because you have no timeouts and it's going to be 4th down and the clock's going to run out. At that moment, you decide to leave Dillard one-on-one with Myles Garrett. At that moment, like, I understand we can't max protect every play, but at that moment, you decided Dillard could handle it by himself. That's coaching malpractice. I understand you can't max protect on every play, but on that play, you decided that that was a good time to leave the poor guy one-on-one. Coaching malpractice right there. That is coaching malpractice. And going forward, when Peter Skoronski returns to this lineup, and that better freaking be this week. You better hope it's this week, Titans fans, that Skoronski comes back to this lineup. You either got to put Skoronski at left tackle and leave Radens at left guard, or you got to put Radens at left tackle and put Skoronski at left guard. You can't have Dillard in there anymore. You cannot have him in there anymore. Do not pull a Dennis Daly with this thing and just keep trotting him out there every week and expecting him to do a better job. He's shown you who he is, okay? God bless him. I'm sure he's a great guy. But no more. No more. To put it in perspective, Dennis Daly gave up 12 sacks last season. Dillard's already given up 7. He's already given up 7. He's already over halfway there to matching Daly, and there's been 3 games played. No more. Don't hope that it's magically going to get better. Got to play better. Got to coach better. This is just who he is, man. That's why he wasn't starting anywhere else. Get him out. Get him out. No more. Get him off the field. Get him off the field. When Skoronski gets back, Radin stays in the lineup, and that's your offensive line. That's the first thing's got to happen. I'm sick of watching it. And while we're at it, let's just have no offensive lineman wear number 71 ever again. Because every time the Titans have a number 71 on the starting lineup, they play like cheeks. Okay? That's the first thing. Offensive lines, I mean, just, it's impossible to do anything. When you have an offensive line that is getting beat this bad, you all saw yesterday where we had to spend a timeout in the third quarter because 2 dudes had to go with Myles Garrett wherever he went on the field. So Garrett goes to one side of formation, and here goes our 2 tight ends trotting over there to try to block him. So then Garrett goes back to the other side, and there goes our 2 tight ends going over there to block him. And we had to spend a timeout because they did all that, and it made the play clock go down. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. And let me tell you what else. You saw Jim Schwartz on the sideline after that, man. The dude's cracking up. He's laughing. He's laughing at his former team because they're having to send 2 guys to follow Myles Garrett all over the field to try to triple team him, I guess. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. And everybody out there watching on YouTube and everybody out there listening on Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever, you know I'm right. You know that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the fans. It's embarrassing for the players. It's embarrassing for the coaches. I said it yesterday on my main channel, which again is mostly dedicated to music, but sometimes I'll throw a Titans video up there. I said it yesterday. 2 weeks ago against the Saints, I said that's the worst performance I've ever seen and they'll never be able to top it. Well, guess what? It took them 2 weeks to top it. Took them 2 weeks to top that awful Saints performance. So I'm just starting with the offensive line because you got to start somewhere. The offensive line, just awful. And the time is now. It is week 3. If you're going to do something about it, the time is now. Not after the bye, not week 10, not week 14. Right now is the time to do something. If you got to hold open tryouts, if you got to go invade a practice squad and give somebody else a chance, the time is now to do something about it. Right now. There are guys on this offense. I'm just staying on offense right now because guess what, guys? If you just heard something that sounded like a fart, it was this chair. It was not an actual fart. It's doing it again. You hear that? It's not a fart. It's the chair. Anyway, I'm zeroing in on this offense. Not that the defense played well, because they didn't. But I'm zeroing in on this offense right now because guess what? This ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new. This may be their worst outing, but it ain't nothing new. They went on a 7-game losing streak to end last season where the offense was what I thought as bad as it gets. But so far, I have seen 2 performances in 3 weeks of the 2023 season. Week 1 against the Saints and now week 3 against the Browns that are 2 of the worst I've ever seen. There is no excuse for any NFL offense in 2023 to be generating only 94 yards of total offense in a game. There's no excuse. 0. I know the Browns defense is good. The Browns defense may be the best defense in the league for all we know. They may very well be. But still, to only have 94 yards in 2023 in an NFL game on an offense that has Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins, just those 2 alone should get you over 100. There are certain people on this offensive on this offense that I feel like I'm kind of disappointed. I thought that Chig Okonkwo and Treylon Burks were going to take big leaps from 1 to 2. From year 1 to year 2. I mean, I thought they were going to make big leaps. Man, I know Burks had the big play last week. It was a great catch, but man, you making the big leap? Burks had 1 reception for 5 yards. Chig had 3 for 7. We're going to need better than that. We're going to need it to be better than that. And that brings me to the quarterback. Oh my gosh, let's take 5 seconds and get ready for this discussion. Whew, deep breaths. Deep breaths. I put out a tweet last night that got so many people in an uproar. All I said, and this is on the Two Tone Talk Twitter. Go follow me over there at Two Tone Talk. Twitter X, whatever you call it. Who cares? Nothing matters. I posted on Two Tone Talk. I said, there are Titans fans. This is pretty much what I said. I said, there are Titans fans who think that replacing Ryan Tannehill is suddenly going to fix everything. And I followed that up by saying, because there are Titans fans who believe that. They believe that this is all Tannehill. All of this that we've seen in week 1 and now week 3, this awful, awful offense, they believe it's all Tannehill. All I said was, it's more complex than that. I'm not defending Ryan Tannehill, nor am I saying that it's not time to have a discussion about him. I am simply saying what I saw yesterday was a bad team. Not just a bad quarterback. A bad team. You put somebody else in there, you still got issues on this O-line. You still got issues in the secondary. You still got issues in terms of wide receivers and tight ends. That's all I was saying. And people apparently took that as me trying to absolve Ryan Tannehill of any blame. People took that as me saying, oh, it's not Tannehill's fault. Listen, can I tell you this? I said it yesterday. I'll say it again today. And I'm even more of this belief today than I was yesterday. I am not here to try and absolve anybody of any blame. I am not here because there are fans that do that. Not just among Titans fans, but every fan base. Whenever a loss like this comes up, they will fall all over themselves to make sure that somebody's clear of blame. Well, it's not the coach's fault. It's not the quarterback's fault. It's not the running back's fault. It's not the wide receiver's fault. It's not the defensive tackle's fault. Like they have their certain people that they're going to rush to the defense of. I'm not here to rush to the defense of anybody. I thought everybody was bad yesterday. So there. Everybody, every coach, every player was bad yesterday. Can you tell me anything about this Titans team yesterday that was good? There's nothing. Nothing was good. So that includes Ryan Tannehill. I'm including him. All I'm trying to say is you put Willis or Levis in there, don't expect it to just magically get better. If it does, and one of those guys is the greatest quarterback in the world, then great. But the team I watched yesterday, Malik Willis ain't helping that. Okay, he ain't fixing that. I know he believes he's a strong believer in the Lord like me. We need a miracle from the Lord to fix this team and what I saw yesterday. Now, Tannehill. I'll be honest with you. And I could feel it going this way toward the end of last season when he got hurt and he had to set out the last couple games. And I could feel it in my gut coming into this season, man. Time's running out. Time is running out. In today's NFL, especially when you have an offensive line that's not very good, you got to be able to run around. You got to be able to escape the pocket. You got to be able to have enough mobility to extend plays with your legs. And he doesn't. There was a time when he kind of did a few years ago, but now injuries, age, whatever you want to blame it on, he can't move around. He can't extend plays. He can't, he has less comfort in the pocket now than he ever has. And I know last week against the Chargers, they did that triple option and he ran. Yeah, designed quarterback runs, he can probably do some things there. But in terms of being able to do some of the things that we see other quarterbacks do, even if you're not a running quarterback, you've got to be able, especially when you've got an offensive line that's not any good. I mean, look at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's not a running quarterback, but he can move around in the pocket. He can extend plays with his legs. He can get outside of the pocket and make throws on the run. Aaron Rodgers made a whole freaking career doing that. So, Tannehill can't do that. He's a statue. And if you're going to be a statue in the NFL, you got to have a great offensive line. We have not that. We do not have a great offensive line. And you combine that with the fact that we have a guy who can't move around very much. It's a recipe for disaster. Then you throw in the fact that we have wide receivers who are apparently having trouble getting separation, and it's hell on earth. Okay? Any way you slice it. Do I believe that, Vrabel's probably doing a press conference right now where he's saying nothing. I don't even have to watch it. Play better, coach better. We're going to figure it out, blah, 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 blah. He's going to say all the same stuff he always says. He's not going to come out and be like, hey, we're going to go another direction at quarterback. I would be shocked if he did that. If he said we're going to go with Malik Willis or Will Levis this week against the Bengals, I would fall out of this chair. He's not going to do that. But the bye week is in, I think, 3 weeks. They've got they've got the Bengals, dear God, the Colts, dear God, and then the Ravens in London, dear God, and then the bye. If you get to that bye week and you're 1-5 or 2-4 even, and things are just not looking any better, at that point, it's time to have a conversation. It's time to have a real long conversation. If you get to that bye, you're 1-5, 2-4, things aren't looking any better. That might be the point where, yeah, we've got we've got to pull the plug. You know, and my phone's going off. It's right under the mic. Lord. Anyway, yeah, that bye week, that may be that. If things don't get better, that could be the end of the road. That could be the end of the road. And I'll tell you this, I'm still not that big a believer in Malik Willis as the starter. We haven't seen hardly enough of Will Levis, but I mean, they better hope Will Levis is their guy, because they traded up in the second round to get him. Like, to do that, like Malik Willis fell to them in the third round. And if he ends up being great, great. But you traded up in round 2 to get Will Levis. You better hope this guy is something. You better hope. You better hope. So, yeah, time's running out on Tannehill. It's running out. That you know one of those hourglasses where the sand is just trickling through. Anybody's ever watched the soap opera Days of Our Lives like I used to with my grandmama when I was a baby, when I was a little lad, the front of that show was like the hourglass and the time's just the sand's just falling through there. That's what's happening for Ryan Tannehill right now. This is 2 terrible performances. Now, do I believe it's all on him? No, but as I said 2 weeks ago, the quarterback position is the most important on the team. It's the most important position. And right now, I'm looking at an offense that needs, a spark. And sometimes the way to do that is to get somebody else in there at quarterback. We'll see. It ain't gonna happen this week. Tannehill's going to be out there against the Bengals, so it ain't going to happen this week. But, I mean, Tannehill missed some throws yesterday, man. Third quarter, he actually had time to throw, had Burks open for a big play, and he missed him. A couple other throws yesterday that he missed. And he missed some against the Chargers when they won. Luke brings up an interesting point in the chat, and I've seen this point made on Twitter today. There are other quarterbacks in this league that have bad offensive lines, but they're able to somehow make it work because they can move around. 2 years ago, the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. Don't we know it? Because who did they beat to get there? We all remember. The Bengals went to the Super Bowl, and they had a terrible offensive line. Awful. Burrow getting sacked, multiple times a game. But they went to the Super Bowl and almost won the dang thing. Because he was able to make it work. Now, they also had elite talent at wide receiver. That helps too. But yeah, it's all of this. Quarterback's not good enough. Offensive line's not good enough. Our weapons at receiver and tight end have not been good enough. None of it's good enough. And it does remind me, I am going to bring this up, reminds me a little bit of Marcus Mariota, 2019. Titans ended up at 2-4. Had a lot of problems. They pulled the plug on Mariota. They went with Tannehill the rest of the way, and provided a spark. Provided a spark for the offense and started turning things around. And we know how that season ended up. I'm not saying that this will be the same thing if we go with Willis or Levis. No, I mean, Tannehill was a veteran. Tannehill was somebody who had experience that could come in and give you some production. You've got two very young guys behind Tannehill now that you don't know. But I'm just saying, sometimes when you need a spark, that's what you got to do. But yeah, the play of Tannehill is not getting us anywhere. And I'm not going to pretend it is. I'm not one of these people that's going to come out of the woodworks to defend him. And I can't believe that's what people thought I was doing on Twitter last night. All I was trying to say was that there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems. And Tannehill's part of it. But he's not it. He's not the only problem. I saw a tweet yesterday that I thought said it perfectly. We can sit here and debate all day whether or not Ryan Tannehill is part of the problem. We can sit here all day and debate that. But no matter what conclusion you come to, whether you think he's part of the problem or not, he's not part of the answer. He's not part of the answer. If he's not part of the problem, he's also not part of the answer either. So I believe he's part of the problem right now. I'm not gonna put him as the only problem, because I mean, people have talked about Tim Kelly. I feel like I can't even get a grasp on what kind of a job Tim Kelly does as the offensive coordinator, because sometimes I just watch the team and I'm like, it doesn't matter what you call. I will say it's stupid on the last play of the first half to leave your left tackle alone against Myles Garrett. Yeah, that's dumb. But, like, I can't even give you a good summary of what kind of a job Tim Kelly's doing, because it's like, I mean, when you run a play where, you know, sometimes there's a guy sacking your quarterback in 0.5 seconds, it's like, okay, I don't even know what that play was going to be. Derrick Henry's getting the ball, and there's 5 guys. There was some plays yesterday where he would turn around to hand the ball to Henry, and before Henry could even get the ball in his hands, I would be like, well, this is going to be a loss. Because by the time Henry got the ball, there's just 4 guys for Cleveland standing there waiting on him. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what you're supposed to do with that. You know? I've spent 30 minutes talking about this offense, and I could talk about him for another 5 hours because it's nothing new. It's nothing new. This isn't some new problem that just came up yesterday against Cleveland. If it was, I wouldn't be too concerned because it'd be like, normally we're good. Yesterday we had a bad day. This is over and over and over again. Dating back to last year, over and over. On a day where the Miami Dolphins scored 70 points in a game. 70 points. On a day where they did that, in the same league as them, the Titans couldn't even find 100 total yards. Couldn't even score 1 touchdown. The Dolphins scored 67 more points than the Titans did yesterday. And need I remind you that the only 3 points the Titans did get was because they got a turnover in Cleveland territory and then proceeded to have a drive where they went 9 yards in the wrong way. So they're lucky they even got 3. They're lucky this wasn't a total shutout. May as well have been. It doesn't matter. It's nothing new. Over and over and over and over again. And then we get the same stuff every time. We're going to figure it out. We got to do this. We got to do that. It's like, why should I even believe it? You've told me this as a fan. You have told me like 20 times. Got to play better. Got to coach better. Got to figure it out. Got to blah, 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 blah. I'm starting to think you're lying. I'm starting to think you're not going to figure it out, are you? I'm starting to think this is just how it is. And this is how it's going to be. Why should I believe any different? sometimes we have games where we get a glimmer of hope. And by a glimmer of hope, I mean like maybe we'll score a couple touchdowns. But most weeks, it's just one awful offensive performance after another. One after the other. And I get to a point where I just sit there and I'm like, why am I even watching this? I already know what's going to happen. Yesterday, I turned the game off. I turned it to the Red Zone channel. I couldn't watch it anymore. I had to just go watch some other teams play. And then I turn it over to Red Zone channel. It's just offenses marching up and down the field, scoring left and scoring right. Meanwhile, my team, it's a miracle if they get positive yardage on a play. It's a miracle. Like, if we get a 5-yard gain, I'm like, oh my, yeah. 5 yards. We didn't lose any yards that play. I haven't even talked about the defense yet. I haven't even talked about the defense. Our saving grace is always the defense. Not yesterday. This front four, I told somebody last night on Twitter, I could have seen the Titans offense having a bad day against this Browns defense. I could have seen that. I could have absolutely believed that was going to happen. What I couldn't have foreseen is how bad our defense would look against their offense. Because their offense has not looked good. Watson has not looked good. Like, I could not have imagined how bad our defense would play yesterday. Christian Fulton, what in the world, man? Contract year. This is a contract year for you to try to make some money. And you have turned it from a contract year to just a year. It's just a year. You got a year left, and then you're going to have to find somewhere else to play. Because, I mean, getting run right by over and over again, penalties, holding, like, come on, man. I mean, he has some games where he's good, but, like, you need the guy to be cornerback one, and he's just not. He's not. I thought Murphy Bunting played hard. He's in concussion protocol now, so don't expect him to play against the Bengals. But I thought Murphy Bunting, I mean, he made some nice plays, but, I mean, he got called for holding and pass interference and all this crap, too. Our front four just couldn't get home to Watson, and when they did, he slipped off of them. Deshaun Watson threw the ball backwards. One of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. He threw the ball backwards for a loss of like 20 yards. And like 4 plays later, they were celebrating in the end zone because it ended up being a touchdown drive. How do you let that happen? There is no excuse in this world for that to happen. If somebody is going to make a terrible boneheaded play like that in today's NFL, they should not get away with it. Watson gets away with a lot of things. I'm sorry. But he got away with that yesterday. He got away with throwing the ball backwards. Because next play, we had 2 penalties. Roughing the passer and pass interference. We had, at one point, and we got to talk about penalties. This team is so undisciplined. The penalties, pre-snap penalties. We had a penalty for 12 men in the huddle yesterday. We have false starts like crazy. We have holding like crazy. We have roughing the passer, defensive holding, pass interference. I thought on paper this defense was going to be better than last year's defense. Incorrect. I was wrong. They're not. Harold Landry's getting paid a lot of money, man. And he made the big play last week. But yesterday, he went missing. Just an awful day all around. Coaching, players, all of them atrocious, unacceptable, and I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know where to go from here. Because if this were week 13, then okay, yeah. Let's just tank. Let's get ready for the offseason. Let's get ready for the offseason. It's going to be great. But it's week 3. We got 14 games left. So you have to try to salvage it and try to fix this. And I mean, obviously, yeah, like I said earlier, for sure, get Skoronski back, get Dillard off the offensive line, put Radens in there, and hope that gets better. Okay, yeah, that's one thing you can do. But I don't know how you get this secondary to be better. I don't know how you get your quarterback to be more mobile and move around in the pocket more. I don't know how you get your wide receivers to get better separation. I don't know how you magically overnight, I don't know how that gets better. But it's not up to me or you to figure it out. It's up to these people who get paid to do it to figure it out. And I'm interested to see what they come up with. Because they're probably going to get the Bengals coming to town with Joe Burrow on a full week's rest. Who's going to cover Jamar Chase? Who's going to cover T. Higgins? I'm worried, man. I'm worried that we're staring 1-3 right in the face. And I don't know what's going to... I don't know. I don't know. Let's talk about some of these other games yesterday. To make matters worse, the Colts beat the Ravens in overtime. Of all times for Justin Tucker to decide to miss a field goal that would have won the Ravens the game, he chose yesterday. Colts beat the Ravens with Gardner Minshew, and now the Colts are in sole possession of first place in the AFC South. 2-1. I don't know what to think of the Colts. I don't know what to think of the Ravens. But whatever. Dolphins, Broncos. The Dolphins put up 70 points. They put up 70 points. Madden numbers. Broncos should be ashamed of themselves. Sean Payton talked all that mess before he came in there, and this is what he got for his trouble. 0-3. You just lost by 50 points. You gave up 70 points, like 700 yards of offense. And the Dolphins are bona fide contenders if Tua stays healthy, by the way. I mean, they may be like a front runner right now. Can you imagine having an offense like that? Can you imagine even having half an offense like that? Like, whatever the Dolphins are offensively, the Titans are the exact opposite. Exact opposite. Just imagine how much fun that would be. God, to just have an offense that just goes out there and makes it look that easy. Patriots, Jets. Zach Wilson's horrible. And if the Jets want to be even halfway good, they're going to have to get somebody else in there. Because, I mean, you cannot continue with this guy. They should have won yesterday. They didn't. Patriots beat the Jets. The Jets are in big-time trouble. Bills over the Commanders, 37-3. Bills... Feels like forever ago since the Bills lost to the Jets on Monday Night Football, and people tried to compare Josh Allen to Ryan Tannehill because he turned the ball over a few times that night against the Jets. You want to know the difference between Josh Allen and Ryan Tannehill, among other things? The Bills have absolutely mauled their two opponents since then, to the point where that game where they lost to the Jets on Monday Night Football just kind of feels like a fluke, because Josh Allen was good enough to rebound and come back and play better. Lions over the Falcons, 20-6. Falcons offense kind of looked like the Titans. They just couldn't do anything. Lions get a much-needed rebound win, and there you go. Packers over the Saints. Packers came from behind to win this game. Saints take their first L of the year. Jordan Love looking good, making some really nice throws. He doesn't even have that much talent around him. But, He's making some nice throws against a good Saints defense, and they came back and won on the field goal at the end. Good for them. Texans over the Jaguars. Jags and their fans thought they were going to be awesome this year. The Jags thought they were going to be AFC contenders this year. Turns out they're just the Jaguars. I kind of had I was willing to admit the Jaguars had a lot of talent, but just something about it told me they're going to come out and wet the bed, and that's what they've done. The bad news is C.J. Stroud looks really good, and he doesn't have a good offensive line. He had, I think, 4 starters out on the offensive line yesterday. But just to let you know what we're in for in the AFC South for the foreseeable future, he was 20 of 30 for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's with weapons such as Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Robert Woods. I mean, that's kind of weapons we're talking about in Houston. But C.J. Stroud, who I wanted the Titans to draft, and then Houston went up there and got him, he looks good. Texans win 37-17, and it's bad news in Jacksonville. Chargers-Vikings. Chargers didn't deserve to win this game after that 4th down call, but they win. The Vikings, the Vikings look terrible. Their defense doesn't look good. Their receivers drop passes all the time. Kirk Cousins is the Ryan Tannehill of the NFC, and they're 0-3. Seahawks beat the Panthers. Panthers were without Bryce Young. Panthers are a bad team anyway. Seahawks have definitely rebounded the last couple of weeks. Pete Carroll's a great coach. And Geno Smith. Something I never thought I'd say. Wouldn't mind having Geno Smith on my team. Cardinals beat the Cowboys. Our old friend Josh Dobbs played great yesterday against a really good defense, albeit without Trevon Diggs. We know the situation with Diggs, but Josh Dobbs played well. And the Cardinals beat the Cowboys in a shocker. I don't know if Dobbs will be able to keep it up, but we had Josh Dobbs on the team. Let him go. If he continues to play well, just remember that. Chiefs beat the Bears 41-10. Bears are the worst team in football. The worst organization in football. And Justin Fields, nobody, again, kind of like I was talking about Titans fans who do this with certain players on Titans. The media falls all over themselves to make sure that Justin Fields is good. He is good. Justin Fields is good, and then none of this is his fault. They will die before they admit that this guy may not be as good as they thought he was. The Bears look awful. The Chiefs look great. Taylor Swift was there, everybody. In case you didn't know, Taylor Swift's dating Travis Kelce, and she was at the game, and that's the leading story of the day in the National Football League. Steelers beat the Raiders last night, 23-15. Josh McDaniels chose to do the Mike Vrabel thing and kick the field goal instead of go for it in the red zone to try to get down there and score a touchdown because he hoped his defense would get him the ball back. And much like Vrabel, the defense didn't get him the ball back, and the Raiders lost. And Steelers won, and Steelers don't look great, but by God, they keep winning games, and I'd rather win than look good. So, good for them. 2 Monday night games tonight, Eagles-Bucks. Who knows? I expect the Eagles to win that game. I picked the Eagles to win that game, but the Bucks are 2-0. It'll be interesting to see. Rams-Bengals, Titans' Week 4 opponent. Bengals at home against the Rams, probably without Burrow. I don't know. You can watch if you want to. Try to figure out what to expect from the Bengals. I'm more concerned about what to expect from the Titans, to be honest with you. After yesterday, I'm more worried about what to expect from the Titans because, by God, this just, last year Vrabel talked a lot about crossroads. We're at a crossroads. I know it's early. It's only week 3, but we're at a crossroads. We're at a crossroads, man. You put on a performance like that yesterday, hey, yeah, crossroads. We're going to find out what this team's made of. It's one thing to go out there and put in the effort and compete real good and give it everything you got and just come up short at the end because the other team made a couple more plays than you. That happens. It's a complete different thing to go out and do what the Titans did yesterday and just fall flat on your face and roll around in the mud. So, I'll just leave it at that. Crossroads, baby. That's going to do it for me today. I'm just in a great mood today. Can't you tell? I'm just so happy to be talking about this. And, I'll be back Friday. Hopefully, I'll be in a better mood then, and we can try to talk ourselves into the Titans rebounding against Cincinnati. But as for right now, it all looks null and void to me, to be honest with you. But this is the Two Tone Talk podcast where we're staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. Keyword low on the losses. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. Make sure to go sub on YouTube. Make sure to go follow me on Twitter. You can also listen to this podcast on Spotify and SoundCloud as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And even on the bad days, tighten up. Appreciate it, everybody. Bye.
So many people try to get you to fit their mold. I think it's time for a change. This is what I say.